And one time the media did call out political incitement was during the Capitol Hill riots earlier this year because, well, you know, because Trump, of course. But we now know that of the 5 people who died on that horrible day, none was killed by rioters. 1 rioter was shot dead by police and 4 people died of natural causes. That's not how it was reported at the time.
Officer Brian Sicknick died after being hit in the head with a fire extinguisher during the hours-long attack.
They beat a Capitol police officer to death with a fire extinguisher.
Officer Brian Sicknick died after being hit in the head with a fire extinguisher during the fight.
He died at the age of 42 after he was bludgeoned with a fire extinguisher.
And the New York Times as well had claimed the officer died from injuries sustained while physically engaging with pro-Trump rioters. But here's the news that you probably didn't hear so much about this week.
It turns out Officer Sicknick suffered a stroke and died of natural causes. Investigators initially believed that he was hit in the head with a fire extinguisher.
Now, none of this is offered in defence of the Capitol Hill riots. They were a disgrace, but the facts matter. Truth matters. And so does consistency. So remember the condemnation of so many commentators accusing Donald Trump of inciting those riots.
I've heard a lot of pathetic things from this White House. This one really takes the cake. A big, tough guy who incited a riot and then hid in the White House for 5 days. And still refuses to take responsibility.
The FBI is asking for help identifying those responsible. So let's start with you-know-who, because this all stems from his fingers. You-know-who, his son, his faux lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, and everybody else who was on stage at yesterday's rally.
Fair enough. But what about when a Democrat congresswoman says this in the lead up to the trial for George Floyd's murder?
We got to stay on the street, and we've got to get more active. We've got to get more confrontational. We've got to make sure that they know that we mean business.
As if last year's riots weren't confrontational enough. Imagine the message this sent to the jury. And as the judge explained, it didn't just threaten civil order, but also a fair trial.
I'm aware that Congresswoman Waters was talking specifically about this trial and about the unacceptability of anything less than a murder conviction and talk about being confrontational, but I wish elected officials would stop talking about this case, especially in a manner that is disrespectful to the rule of law and to the judicial branch and our function.
So what did we hear from those same people who condemned Trump? Consistency? Of course not.
Do you really think she's calling for violence? Most people know that that's not true.
But now people are saying, well, we should, get Maxine Waters should get fired. Okay, I don't believe that's the way to go. I don't think people should get fired. I think people should get fired up.
The principle is clear. Violence is wrong. Inciting violence is wrong. Whoever does it from whatever side of politics is wrong. But so often in the media, it's the side that matters, not the principle.